welcome back to the Clenmore Show. Today I have a special guest, Virginia Rivera.
Hello, hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Today we're going to play a game where I ask you questions based on your new film, 3 o'clock.
Okay, let's do it.
So pick one of these.
This one.
Okay. Your question is, how does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues?
Okay, well, our movie is of the horror thriller genre, and different stereotypical things that are used in most horror genre films are incorporated into ours as well, such as the use of light. And often in horror movies, it is filmed in a dark setting because it gives off an eerie mood, like a mysterious, you know what's going on type of mood. And the lighting that we used was harsh lights, so that also gave the feeling of eeriness. So, and that is also something that's used commonly in horror movies. Another convention that we use is the use of like props, and we use blood. And the use of blood is like always in horror movies. We use blood on one of the characters' heads, which shows, you know, like she was injured, and it was also mysterious because the audience didn't know how she was injured. And also blood on the clothes, which also leaves mystery.
Okay, and how does it challenge conventions?
Okay, well, our main character is not of the paranormal activity like group, and which is very different from most horror movies as they usually are.
And it represents social issues, how?
Obviously, our cast is made of a group of teenage girls, and they're just having fun carelessly, but really they're being reckless and putting themselves in danger. And this is very stereotypical for teenagers, as people view them as being like making bad decisions, and this is obviously portrayed in the film.
Okay, great. Next question. How does your product engage with audiences, and how would it be distributed as a real media text?
Okay, well, horror movies in itself are already one of the most popular genres in the US, so that already helps sell it. But for our movie individually, I feel like the plot definitely helps it be different and catches the audience's attention. There are only so many ideas for horror movies. After a while, they start to be repetitive or people start losing interest. But ours is quite unique. It starts off with like very easygoing, just simple girls having fun. Eventually it starts transitioning into them being suspicious and like questioning what's going on, to them scared for their lives. And this increased attention really catches the audience's attention. And while all of this is going on, the audience knows something while the cast members don't, which really grabs their attention and keeps them on the edge of their toes.
Okay, and how would you distribute it?
I believe social media would be the best way, since it's one of the biggest platforms right now. Everyone's on it, and there are also like many different versions of it. Like there's Snapchat, there's YouTube. I'd put different ads amongst there, things like that.
Sounds like a great movie. How do you plan on getting it out there and onto the big screen?
Hopefully, by advertising 3 o'clock on these social media platforms, someone from a bigger company in Hollywood or someone from the filmmaking industry would notice it and reach out to me and help me make my movie.
Okay, third question. Your question says, how did your production skills develop throughout this project?
Before I actually entered the filmmaking industry, I had never really thought about what went into the actual process. Like, I would go and sit and watch the movie and just relax, but I'd never really think about it. But after creating 3 o'clock, I realized that the different camera positions play a huge role in it. There's so many different ones with many different reasons. And the editing also makes a huge difference, because if you look at the raw footage versus the end, like it's very different, and I'm very grateful for our editing crew. As for specifics, for the after filming process for 3 o'clock, I learned how to upload to YouTube, and I definitely thought it was a much more difficult process, but after I learned and I figured it out, it's pretty simple. I also learned how to download music from YouTube, which is also a fairly simple process and didn't take any time at all. And lastly, I learned how to take that music that we had downloaded and put it onto our actual film. After the whole process was over and I learned my strengths and weaknesses, I definitely feel like I belong behind the camera and definitely not in front. I feel like my talent can really be put to use behind the camera. I really like filming and editing. I really enjoy the after process to put the whole thing together, but I feel like acting would definitely not be my first choice. So yeah, as for career interests, I would definitely consider being either an editor or a cameraman, but not an actor.
Okay, and your last question. How did you integrate technologies in this project?
Okay, well, of course, before I obviously knew the basic functioning of a camera and a computer, but it's really the in-depth processes that they can actually achieve, which is really fascinating. I had no idea that my normal computer, which I do my everyday work and I use every day, could go as far as to make a movie. To create 3 O'Clock, we used a Mac computer, which comes with the software of iMovie. iMovie is actually a really helpful tool, and it has like everything that you can think of when it comes to editing, and that's what we use, and that's all we use to come up with this pretty incredible film. On iMovie, we added titles, we added sound, we cut the clips, we did everything on there. And when we made the titles, we actually thought that we were going to have to use a whole separate different software or a different app or something, and that was going to be a super hard process. But on the actual software iMovie, you can do everything on there. So that really saved us some time, and I think the title turned out really good too.
Wow, it sounds like a great movie and you had a really fun time making it. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have left for today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Until next time on The Clemmer Show.
Bye!